Hello, everybody. Um, Good to see you all. Hopefully, this is all working. Trying out plugging my mic in the back of the computer, so hopefully the hissing from last time will all be good. Need to sort that out more properly sometime soon, but in the meantime, hope this improves it. Let me know if the audio is odd or music's too loud or anything. Otherwise, I'll just be getting started shortly. Yeah, Fenris, good to see you again. Yeah, so gonna be doing some more fantasy stuff this time, I think, because the last couple of times have been a little more sci-fi. Snews, thank you very much. Hello to Europe. That's fantastic to hear. Hope it's worth it. Also, I have no idea how to pronounce your name, so got it wrong. Yeah. Yeah. Also, Aliens theme. Oh, yeah, that's true. I was talking to some people at work about it. It's not actually Alien Day anymore, but I haven't drawn a xenomorph in a long time, so maybe, we'll see. Also, for everyone who has asked, I have finally updated my brush set, so you can get the sweet brush that I've been using a whole crap load if you want. Yeah, so finally got around to doing that. Enjoy it. Added a couple of other ones in there that I've been using more recently. A couple other ones where it's stolen from somewhere and fiddled around with, so apologies to the artists who probably initially created them. But yeah, that's what happens on the internet, I guess. Alright, so yeah, I don't know about aliens. Let's just get something going. What? This grayscale. Who works at grayscale? Alright. I think they should be compatible. I don't do anything too fancy with them, so they should be backwards compatible pretty far. I did just save them out from the newest version of CC, so but I'm pretty sure they should go back. Let me know if they don't, and I'll see if I can do something about that. And when I say newest version of CC, I mean last year's version of CC, because they made some terrible UI changes to this year's version, so don't update to that. Alright, let's get background, sun glow. Oh yes, I don't know if I don't think I have as many as I should. Yeah, look at that, that's tiny. I used to have heaps, but whenever I got a new computer recently and didn't bother overloading it, that's always nice. Alright, let's actually get something going on here. I'm just thinking about Vikings and fairies, maybe, so, or like angel things. call it Viking Fairies, but it's probably not what this game ended up being. How has everyone else been going since last week? Ugh. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? I don't, I use so few other brushes, and the ones I have do the job, and taking the time to try out some other ones is just like, maybe. Ugh, what is going on here? Let's relight. Hitting a block is rough. Yeah, I don't know. Doing stuff like this helps because people are counting on you. Like I don't take commissions for sort of that reason though. Like I don't know. I somehow am just really bad at ever getting around to. This is so boring, so boring. Hola, indeed. Hello, welcome to the stream. Working on the pose, I try and work out what her focus is, like where she's supposed to be looking and what way she's going. And the biggest thing usually is getting the feet planted right. Like, that's, if you can do that, it's definitely a good thing. Like, you'll feel solid, it'll feel... aside from that, getting limbs looking like they're not too sort of fly swatted is a good one. It's something I definitely struggle with sometimes. Audio keeps cutting out? Anyone else having issues with the audio? I'm not dropping any frames according to XSplit. Okay, yeah, I can tune that down a little bit. It's pretty low, but there we go. Yeah, mic think is up as high it is. I don't have any fancy audio splitting stuff, so I don't really keep a control over that just at the moment. Gotta invest in some things, but let me know if the music's too quiet now. I don't think that'll be an issue, but it seems a bit odd to have it at all if it's super low. Mostly it's really just there for me to listen to, but it seems there are long stretches of silence. I mean, would you guys prefer no music? I don't know. I think... okay. Casey, hello. Good to see you. Alright, so for something like this, I might actually try and do a little bit more line work to get things worked out. Where do I buy the statues in the background? They're almost entirely 3A. It's a toy company that's pretty much run by Ashley Wood. So it's either his PopBot or World War Robot lines for the most part. I've been slowing down my collecting a little bit for a couple of reasons, but yeah, that's basically where they all come from. So they're not necessarily from anything. There are a couple of World War Robot books, and there was like a PopBot novel, comic book. But these days, all of his the IP development basically all happens through the toys now, and the little snippets that come with the toys. Skeleton, hello. Glad to hear that. Will be happening more often. Snews. How are you supposed to pronounce that anyway? That's good to hear. I hope it's not too late. Where you are. Cuppy, hello. Sniggles. Alright. So you just print 5 a.m. Jesus.
All this takes a lot of getting used to. And you do get used to it after a while.
God, you may as well, like, at that point, you should just get up early for it. I'm just staying up that late. Jesus. Well, thank you for doing that.
Forget about 2. And 3. I miss the songs. Folks from Ceylon.
Doing some sort of angel at the moment. Bit of Red Wing Blackbird going on. So I feel like I'm getting these in a little bit of the wrong position. That's alright. Need to do more studies of wings. And stuff's pretty complicated. Getting it right is sort of important. I fed my cats before the stream this night, so hopefully they're not too crazy. They seem to be doing okay. Can't really hear though, so yeah, if the audio cuts out for some reason, one of them probably just chewed through the headphones. But hopefully I will notice if that happens. Froodling, sorry. Hopefully net can be better next time. Anyone else, let me know if there are issues of any sort. Nick, hello. Tips to avoid drawing flat poses. One of the big things, and I'm not great at this myself, but is having limbs crossing over each other. So like her, initially I wasn't sure what I was doing, but her arm going over the front of her chest here really like makes a difference to that. Whereas if it was just like this is sort of like off here, it would feel a lot less dynamic. Ipso facto, I think it can be a bit. You're never gonna get your atmospheric perspective down. It's always gonna be. I mean, it is a little bit here. Depends if I'm sketching. I think it's about level of detail and like lightness of detail. Something that's big and far away, like the details are gonna be really fine. You're not gonna get a lot of small details. So I feel like that's probably something to do. Also, just actual perspective. If you have that, like, if you have that getting in, that can help. Like that cues there will definitely help. Skulls first. Do I prefer sketchy stuff or high-rendered stuff? There's good stuff with both. For personal work, I don't think it's necessarily that I prefer sketchier stuff, but I feel like it's a time thing. Like these days I find it very hard to commit to a lot of like one piece for multiple sessions, so I usually end up getting something. Most of my personal work is a lot sketchier. Fight Punch, good to see you. And even if it's like rendered to some degree, I think you can get, unless it's like a huge piece with lots of characters in it, I think you can get a pretty nice sort of feeling in a session or so, or two maybe at the most, without going crazy. Because I do enough of the like fully rendered illustration at work to sort of fix or hit that sort of itch, so to speak. Making it work with a shadow. Oh, so that, well, getting a shadow to work from something big in the background is always going to be very dependent on making sure like your light sources are accurate and the perspective on like like how a shadow is cast or where the light's from, because if you get that wrong, like it's not gonna look right, basically. It's very, very specific. The HOTS characters, yes, yeah, they're so basically the individual characters are painted of the models because we want to get them on model. They usually take me 2 days-ish to get done. Sometimes a little longer depending on how I'm feeling. That depends. How often do I go back and forth with the art director, Sammy? Really depends on what I'm working on. Something big, like a big illustration, will usually go through him. Not a heap. I mean, at the start of an illustration, like to get sketches done, like to choose, I'll do a bunch of thumbnails. And then he'll sort of choose a direction usually. But aside from that, like, it's basically mostly towards the end. Or at least fairly close to the end. Obviously I don't want any to waste too much work if it's like, if something turns out something does need to be changed. But and then otherwise, like, concept art, usually like skin ideas or hero concepts or whatever, everything is basically run through like the character leads and stuff first, and then he'll usually only like step in towards the end, just to sign off. It depends on like which character though. Some he'll have more of a like a stake in. Am I enjoying streaming? Yes. Yes, I am enjoying it very much. View count seems a little quiet tonight, but I've been really happy with how many people have turned up. Hopefully it just continues to do that. I'll be trying to improve the quality of the stream. I mean, I think I said this the first time, like, it really, well, and last time probably too, it's a really nice thing to make sure I sit down and actually get something done. Like, even in the evenings when I get home, or on the weekend or whatever, like, I'll sit down and start painting and then just get distracted by Reddit and then Facebook, and then I'll go back to painting, and then 10 minutes later I'll be like, ooh, maybe someone's posted something new. And it's terrible. So if I have an audience here, Fenrisk, we were just talking about that today, in the fact that it was like, oh, well, obviously this is somehow we realize is not in the game yet. We have no dates. I would like to see it sooner than later, but I'm not in charge of that, so. Sam, good to see you again. Yeah, I can't comment on scheduling, but it is definitely something I would like to see, because I love playing ETC. And that marine suit, though, I pity anyone who needs to. At least we've got, like, a lot of those marine suits now. You can basically just steal it all. Casey, getting started on illustrations. Well, don't try and rush it for a start. I mean, if you need to get stuff done, that's probably good. I feel like probably have a specific goal in mind, and maybe don't try and rely on just like, hey, this seems inspiring at the time, because a lot of the time, I feel like a lot of the time that can actually end up in it not being quite as, like, it won't carry you all the way necessarily. But if you have, I don't know, just sort of stick to, sort of the same thing, isn't it? That's a terrible answer. Don't set your goals too high, I guess. Just do something specific. Do like, oh, this is going to be just a bust of someone, or if you're having trouble doing that, even just do some studies or something to get yourself out of a rut, and then maybe by doing that you'll find something that'll inspire you and you can directly use. Like if you do some references of some lizards or something, and then suddenly be like, you know what, I want to make a dragon now that I know a bit more about that. And it depends on the reasoning behind your like falling out with something. If it's frustrating you because you're having a hard time rendering something, or you're not sure about your composition, or your like proportions of like creature anatomy or human anatomy, work on those things specifically. And I think that can help, because if you can find exactly what it is that is frustrating you about your pieces, then that can be a good way of working out exactly what it is you need to try and improve on. Or maybe even like, God, I'm really struggling with sort of human anatomy or like posing. Maybe just give that a break, do some landscapes that don't have people in them for a bit, and just like get into a different rut, like try something different. That can sometimes help too. And it depends on, if you're trying to build your folio, obviously it depends on what you're wanting to aim that at, because obviously, like, I definitely always think having a bit of a more specific folio is a good thing, rather than like being too generalized. But I mean, if that's the case and you're having trouble, like, either you should maybe try and choose something else, or that's just something you're gonna have to work on, because in the industry you do definitely need to be able to work on stuff that you're not, like, even when you're feeling not inspired. Djimbe, hey, how's it going? Over-rendering is definitely an over-rendering is definitely something that can happen. I feel like if it's happening, maybe start off Knucko, hey, horse anatomy is definitely something that, yeah, I need to brush up on that. Sorry, to go back to the original question, just work smaller sometimes. Like, don't give yourself the opportunity to like zoom in like all the way and noodle over the tiny little details. Make sure you're... What the hell? Yeah. Yeah, I think that, or force yourself to do something in a certain amount of time, right? Because then you need to get the big things down, and you don't have time to focus on every little thing. And I think that can definitely help. We don't even give them catnip. They can have no catnip. They're still just crazy. And I fed them and everything. Oh, they could be a lot worse. I'm happy with how they're going. Feet. What's going on back to your question earlier, children's books would definitely be a cool thing. I would like that. There's a lot of time, and like I said, I don't commissions. I'm just bad. Like I've got a guy I'm supposed to be working on a game with, and I just haven't ever done any art for it because I'm just bad at. I'm bad at doing my own art, let alone working on someone else's. I don't know. Yeah, I just posted Unworldly. I just posted the newest brush set up today, so it's got the one I'm working on at the moment. The one I'm using at the moment is not, I mean, it's not really made for line work, like it's a little bit squidgy, but honestly, line work like this is, it's alright, it's just to get things going. Alright, what are we doing back here? I basically just use the same brushes all the time. File size, this big. This is about average for just a misc sketch. Big enough to print out if I want to, but cases, IKEA Detolfs. They are the best value for money glass cases. They're amazing. 60 bucks for the case. 60 bucks for a case, and then the lighting you buy separately, but it's all super easy to install. And they're like glass all the way around, easy to put together. Totally amazing. I have 2 of them here, and I have 6 of them at work. I would 100% recommend. I understand self-doubt for sure, and especially if you're trying to finish stuff. Like I haven't finished personal work. I don't finish anywhere near as much as I should, and obviously I'm not working on a portfolio or anything, so that's like it's an easy thing. I don't know what I need to do with this guy. It's gonna be a dragon, but I don't just want to do like a generic dragon. No hats, definitely not. Also getting something looking at the camera from that far away is rough. Favorite painting that I've created? No, not really. Bushwhackers? Nice. opacity control in your pen pressure. Honestly, that's one of those things that's really just practice. Honestly, I would advise against trying to use like the opacity up here and just trying to just stick to pen pressure, and that'll force you to keep like working on it. But aside from that, honestly, yeah, that's definitely just one of those things you need to get a feel for, and that's just gonna take time. Actually, that's true. It's not about accuracy. It's about if you are trying to, you just have better control over it, and you'll learn to use the pen pressure to control it better if you do it like that rather than adjusting the opacity up the top more. But yeah, having a look at in your Wacom tablet settings, there's like a pen pressure like curve that you could definitely play around with to see if you find something that you like better. That could definitely help. Yeah, no, I have no idea what Flow does either. I have never touched it. But yeah, play around with it. If it works, go for it. Curious. So look. So that's that. Okay, yeah. Actually, that's sort of nice. That is potentially useful. You know what? Let's do this. Yeah, let's try that. Thank you. You learn something every day. I didn't say I have a lot of brushes that it would be super effective in, so I never really faffed around with it, but alright, so let's get into some lighting. The problem I have when I'm doing stuff like this is like I get this sort of sketch done, but I haven't actually done any really any like compositional lighting choice. I haven't made any choices about like direction of lighting or anything. So it's sort of this is usually when I'm like, I didn't think this through enough, and then just give up. But I'm on stream, so I can't. Haha. Okay, let's go. I mean, I'll get to the brush thing first. Individual brush tips is something that when you're creating a brush, and that was actually something I had to deal with specifically with this brush. One brush tip can have like this looks super light as one brush, but as soon as you start like laying them over the top of each other, it gets really thick really fast. So I was trying to get like the gradient in here, and if you did just like a normal gradient that looked like this, like that, it would basically be pure black. So it needed to be like sort of this thing to actually work out. So I can see why flow would be helpful there. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, StarCraft is grittier. I mean, I guess like Hearthstone, it has gone opposite and like non-gritty. So I guess there's a bit of that. I guess looking at the art books for the recent WoW expansions, they've been, at least a lot of the concept art has been moving like a little bit less, like, or a little bit more stylized even though WoW's always been stylized, but it's totally like, it's still not that different than what it was. Wade doesn't, he's in cinematics now, so he doesn't do as much promotional art anymore, which is why his stuff, you don't get that style of thing quite so much, and Laurel's been doing a lot of stuff, and she's a little softer. I mean, Team 3, like Diablo is totally still on the gritty sort of dark end of things, so there's totally still room for it. I guess, yeah, like with Heroes is like wowifying almost at all of the other IPs, so we're like ungrittying it a little bit. And Hearthstone's obviously super light and fun, and Overwatch is definitely like the light and fun Pixar-y sci-fi compared to StarCraft's like gritty sort of. I mean, StarCraft's a little silly sometimes too, but comparatively speaking, it's definitely different. Who is the most complicated process? Oh, jeez. Honestly, I'm not sure. I mean, everyone does their own. Certainly wouldn't say everyone works in a similar way to me, but I mean, basically, no one has a complicated process because when you're in a production environment, you need to basically be streamlining things all the time. Also, the cat is directly behind the webcam at the moment and my monitor, so this could... Yeah. Hi. If he unplugs the internet, you'll know what happened. Come on, kitty. Do you want to sit on my lap? Is that what you want? Come on. There you go. You can sit quietly and not chew on my headphone cable, and everyone will be happy. But yeah, what I was saying was, like, in a production environment, you need to... I mean, a streamlined process is not... It's just something that gets you to a sort of finished result in like an amount of time where it fits into a production schedule. And so anything... I mean, to some degree, anyone's process might seem complicated because you're not used to the way they're doing things, but most of the time they've got a process because that's the way they've done things, and that's the way they've found works best to achieve the results that we need. And it's a very different thing because being a concept artist / illustrator is slightly different in that like I don't need to... Usually my stuff doesn't need to fit in with other people's work. Like I'm not creating 3D art for the game that needs to be that could potentially be touched by someone else or needs to exactly have the same style. Like if I'm designing a concept for a skin, I can do a sketch in pencil, I can do it in Photoshop, I can do whatever. And as long as the end result is readable, it doesn't really matter. So in that respect, it's easier for me to have, like, 2D artists or concept artists to have different styles, different processes to get them to where they are. Modify the site. It's Alt and the front button or whatever button you have set to right click will change the size of the brush. Also, someone asked earlier, yeah, the comma and period keys will swap between, go back and forth in your brush menu. I just saw that if you can paint away, then yeah, you're set. He is incredible, and I wish he was still working on the promotional art, because it's sad not seeing his stuff as much, for sure. See, this is what I do when I can't work something out. I just leave it till later. The wings are like coming out back here. It's possible that this is... I feel like I might not get as close to finished with this one as I have in the last couple of streams. I guess it depends a little bit on how late I stay up doing this, but I'm actually surprisingly happy. I was a little concerned for a while there. I'm surprisingly happy with how the sketch turned out, so yeah, it should be cool. Would you look at that? I still haven't worked out what she's doing with her hand. How do you grab it like you should? Normally your hand would be like here. Like here. See, and that's when I just sort of ignore something and just go to render other parts of the image. Look how much I've got to do. That seems too much like cheating. Missing a hand. When I was 21, I turned this. I don't want to make anyone feel bad. I turned 22 in between when I had my interview at Blizzard and when I was hired. So I was 21 when I had my interview, and by the time they got like the paperwork sorted out and I started, I was 22. But art is you're never too old to get into the industry. Anywhere near 21 is certainly not too old. I am definitely not the average story. No, I can see your point on the grittiness. I think Wei has he fits well in cinematics because they're still, I mean, even to some degree in StarCraft, but I think he's mostly working on Warcraft stuff. The cinematic style of Blizzard is still quite different, to the in-game WoW style, so... Boy, get it. No. If you want to sit on my lap, you can sit on my lap, but you're not allowed to chew on the cable. Come on. No. Clearly you need a drink. I would definitely be having a drink right now, except I went and gave blood today, so I'm not sure that would be a good idea. Maybe it'd be a great idea. I'm sort of tempted. Anyway. Maybe I'll grab a beer on my break. No, certainly no White Russians, though. Do we have people applying a lot? Oh yeah, definitely. For sure, for sure. A lot of people. It takes a few tries to get in. No, you're not allowed to speak in the microphone. No, we didn't have that issue in Australia. No mad cow disease in Australia, so I am able to do that. But I bet now the Red Cross are gonna like call me every other day. I have to ignore their calls again until they come back to campus. I mean, not that I don't like giving blood, but their phone calls are a little annoying. What game am I working on? I'm on Heroes at the moment. Occasionally do a little bit for StarCraft, but not a lot these days. No, it definitely doesn't hurt your chances at all. Especially if it's obvious that you're like taking the feedback that you're getting between applications. I can't speak to it exactly just because I'm not really involved in the hiring process that much. They're a little more than I used to be, I guess. Like I'm in interviews and stuff these days, but it definitely does not. I mean, it shows you're passionate for sure, which is always a good thing. And like, there's no point applying and then like a couple of months later applying for the same thing without having improved. Like if you're but if you can make it obvious that you've like taken some of the feedback, or you're applying for like a different position that you think might better suit you, there's definitely nothing wrong with that. Practical doing freelance? Yeah, there are people who do it. People who work on Hearthstone, people who work on Magic, people who work. I mean, usually you need to do a bit of both. It's a little rough. It's certainly a little rough to get started because the pay is not amazing and getting your name out there is pretty tough. It's a very competitive scene. So I would definitely not say like immediately getting into it with the expectation of being able to like support yourself. But if you're still living at home, honestly, that's what I was doing before I got hired at Blizzard, and I would have kept doing it if I hadn't. I was working for Privateer Press. It's never gonna be a secure like my dad was a freelancer illustrator for years and years and years, doing a different sort of thing, but still, Like, you gotta be chasing up work constantly, you have to be making a name for yourself, you have to be networking and, like, getting in touch with people. The hours are gonna be long, even though, but yeah, for sure, it can be done. So this is the sort of thing where I get bogged down rendering something without having figured out like the rest of the piece. Knowledge of planes helping with rendering? I mean, yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's something to think about while you're doing it. I don't know if it's necessarily something that I think about specifically. It's just sort of I picked it up. But that can definitely be something that is helpful if you just like focus on it when you're trying to practice breaking stuff down into planes, especially for like anatomy bases and stuff. Alright, I've been going for about an hour. I'm gonna take a quick break, go grab some more water, maybe open a beer. I'll be back in a few minutes. Yeah, see you guys in a minute.